sick. I'm sick.
Huh?
I'm sick. Can't sing. What's your magazine? Huh? Go ahead.
I'm sure you know if you just call me.
How's everybody doing today? So my name is Rodney Gullatte Jr. and I am the president-elect of the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs. So on behalf of our president, Karen Adams, I'd like to welcome all of you to the 2020 World Peace and Understanding Luncheon. You're in for a treat today. First, we have words of appreciation by Colorado School District 11 Superintendent, Rotary, and my brother, Dr. Michael Thomas. Come on up. So this one's going to be on the fly. I've done them in the past, but as we think about world peace, I'll reflect on some words from a very famous black psychologist, Dr. Thomas Parham. And I was at a national conference, and he asked 3 simple questions that I think are words of inspiration for each and every one of us. And if you think about it at face value, they're probably pretty easy to answer. But if you truly internalize this and think about what does that mean for you, what does that mean for you juxtaposed to the world, I think it's even more challenging, but even more worth your while. So his 3 questions are, who am I? Am I who I say I am? And am I all that I ought to be? I think as Rotarians, that's a personal challenge for all of us to just think about who we are as individuals, as a collective body, and are we doing our words, our actions aligning to that? And as a group of Rotarians, what can we be doing more? Are we all that we ought to be? So those are my words of encouragement and want us to reflect on that as we think about this very special day. So now I will have an active duty member in the greatest Air Force in the world, who will I serve 20 years on October 1, my queen, Iris Gullatte, to come do our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
think, say, and do?
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Is it beneficial to all concerned?
Good job. All right, please have a seat. Enjoy your lunch. We'll start the show in a moment. Thank you. How's the food, everybody? It's good? It's good? Awesome. So I'd like to welcome all of you. Welcome our guests and our visitors. I don't know how we have so many guests and visitors today. I wonder how that happened. I had to find a way to make this more efficient this morning. So let's see if we can find out who we have here. If you are with the North Colorado Springs Club, make some noise. North Club. Awesome. Thank you for coming. If you're with the East Rotary Club, make some noise. In here. East Club. Awesome. Broadmoor Club, where you at? Broadmoor Club. Garden of the Gods Club, where you at? Rampart Range Rotary Club, where y'all at? Hey! Pikes Peak Rotary Club, where y'all at? Rotary Club, Pikes Peak. I'm gonna give them some love anyway. Hey! And what about the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs? Make some noise. If you are active duty military, would you please stand up and be recognized? Freedom isn't free, folks. Did you know that? So thank you for making the sacrifice so we can all hang out here today. I want to thank our volunteers today. At the front, Carol Bach, it's our cashier. Thanks, Carol. Carol Bach wasn't cashier today. Thank you. Carmen, thank you. Carmen. Larry Sparks, registration. Greeter, thanks, Larry. Diane, thank you for registration. Who else we got? That's it, right? And Claudine Dixon. Thank you. I want to thank Hex AB for making sure we had everything we needed here today for our AB. Yep. You happy to be here, boy? Yeah. I'm happy to be here too, son. I'd like to thank the Antlers Hotel and the staff for accommodating us today. Thank you. Give them a round of applause. I want to thank my friends in media for being here today. My Fox 21 folks, Joshua and Maria. Thank you for coming through today. Appreciate it. I have a really good friend, Amy Sweet, the Colorado Springs Business Journal here. Thank you for coming, Amy. Appreciate it. I want to thank Orange Pro Media and My Black Colorado for coming through and make sure this event is captured. The folks who couldn't be here to enjoy it. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Rob. Congrats to Jane Borns for being recognized as the Colorado Springs Business Journal Rising Star for the class of 2020. We are also lucky to have another rising star in the audience, Ms. Ashley McNeely with Thriving Financial. Congratulations, Ashley. So, how many people are here because I invited you? Thank you for coming through. I appreciate y'all's support. I want to thank our president, Karen Adams, and her nominating committee for giving me the opportunity to make history in this club and continue its incredibly impactful legacy of service in Olympic City, USA. So thank you, Karen. Thank you, team. I also want to thank our incoming board of directors for being part of this amazing journey with me and leading this club through another year. So thank you for that. Appreciate you. Thank you. Now, let's get to some fun stuff. I want to talk about the Girl Scouts for a second. The Gold Award of Girl Scouts are the dreamers and the doers who make the world a better place to the next level. The Girl Scout Gold Award is the mark of the truly remarkable. Proof that not only can she make a difference, but that she already has. Seniors and ambassadors who earn the Gold Awards tackle issues that are dear to them and drive lasting change in their communities and beyond. Think of the Gold Award as a key that can open doors to scholarships, preferred admission tracks for college, and amazing career opportunities. And we have a Gold Award recipient in our midst today. Is Emerald here? Cass? Is she here? She's not here? Well, let's give a hand to Emerald, because she'll see this video later. Good job, Emerald. So, this next thing we're about to see a video on is a labor of love. It's just a touch of love, actually, to give ourselves and give you all an idea of our Rotary year in review. So go ahead and cue that up and let you see it. I made that last night, all the graphics and everything. So if you want me to make one of those for you, it'll be a $1,000 donation to our endowment for the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs. All right, cool. So the next part, Dennis. So one of the things we do every year at this event is recognize the Rotarians that have gone on to glory since the last time we got together for this event. So we're going to bring up past President Dennis Shoemaker to take us through the ringing of the bell. Dennis Shoemaker, everybody. So we have our dearly beloved member of our club, Mr. Craig Whitney. We have Mr. Dewar D. Nehans. And we have George from the North Club. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dennis. The next. So the next part is a real honor for me to invite this woman up to speak to you today. I've known her all my life. She is one of the two people, my father included, that molded me into the guy that you're kind of fond of today. You know, everything I've learned how to do, the fearlessness, the opportunity drivenness, you know, the obligation to my ancestors to do the best I can at everything I do, all came from my parents. And it's really cool to have my mom here to speak to us today, Dr. Mary Gullatte. Come on up, Mom. Come on up. Yep. Come on up. So my mom's dope. She really is. She PhD in what is it?
Cancer nursing research.
Cancer nursing research. And she's been all over the world doing good work, and I'm not going to take any more of her time. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mary Gullatte.
That's my baby. It is indeed an honor for me to have this opportunity. When Rodney called and asked if I would do this, I said, get a chance to see my grandchildren? Yes. Because I am actually in Atlanta. And you can see there, I'm at Emory Healthcare. I am a nurse, as you may know, and I started out at Emory many years ago. 42 years, as a matter of fact. I started when I was 5. So in case you're trying to do the math, those of you who are accountants out there, and I know there are a few. So I want to challenge you to see if you can identify, I'll talk loud, some of these credentials down. People say I have more alphabets after my name than in my name. Okay, I heard somebody say RN. They know that one. Okay. I have a doctorate, doctorate of philosophy in cancer nursing research. I'm an advanced practice nurse practitioner, board certified. I'm an advanced oncology certified nurse. And this is Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt. And this one is I am a fellow in the American Academy of Nursing. I was inducted in 2010. So, since, you know what, I may have you do this, advancing the slides, because I need to see them or something. So, thank you very much. I'm okay right here, I think. You need this back? Thank you very much. So, first slide. Okay, vision, dream, imagine, space, time, universe, one. And one is there very largely because with the advent of technology, we are a global society. And I don't need to tell you guys that in this room because this is part of your mission. And I'm very excited to hear about this service World Peace and Understanding mission, because that is a big part of who I am and what I do and what I love to do. And I have been traveling the globe. I have had the opportunity and the blessing to travel to 6 of the 7 continents with someone else paying for it. And I love to shop. So that's what I do when I go on these trips too. So they take good care of me. Next slide, please. Age of innocence. You know, we're born with only 4 competencies: eating, pooping, peeing, laughing, and crying, right? So, thank you, baby. And so you can tell that we don't have all of these things in our head about not being kind, not being loving, not being caring for each other, because we're actually all of one race. And what race is that? Human race. Human race. Our blood is all the same. And I have to tell you this quick story. Early in my nursing career at Emory, I worked on the leukemia unit because cancer care is in my blood, it's in my DNA. But I walked into one of our patients' rooms with a unit, he needed some blood. So I walked in with this unit of blood, and he said to me, "Is that black blood?" And I said, "No, it's red blood." Am I supposed to give you a different answer than that? So, you know, it's been a challenge along the way, but, you know, if we don't have challenges, we don't have success and we don't grow. And that's something that I'm all about, as you can tell. And Rodney has a sister back at home. She's the younger, so we have 2 kids, and she's just like him. Next slide. So I want you to think about rediscovering your innocence. Free your mind, as this slide so aproposly shows, and think about what you think you become, what you feel you attract, and what you imagine you create. How many of you have heard of the phrase déjà vu? Everybody? Okay. Have you heard of the phrase vous jadez? Some. Vous jadez, déjà vu, as you know, is all about, you find yourself in a situation and you're thinking, gosh, this feel like I've been here before, right? Well, vous jadez is just the opposite of that. It's you find yourself in a situation and you're going, this is new, this is different. I feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to look at this as an opportunity to grow and to learn and to be engaged in something that may take me to a different level and a higher level than where I am. When you find yourself with those 2 forks in the road, do you take the high road or do you take the comfort road? That high road is going to lead you to a different place when you come out on the other side. And it's going to be a better place, hopefully. World peace begins with understanding. How many of you are familiar with Stephen Covey? He talks a lot about seek first to understand and then to be understood. That's not a new phrase. Understanding is the fountain of life to those who have it, but folly brings punishment to fools. That's in Proverbs. So it didn't come first from Stephen. It didn't come first from an African proverb, as we've heard sometimes, but it came first from Proverbs. Let me begin, or let peace begin with me. Because each one can make a difference. It only takes one person to make that difference. How many of you have seen when you throw a pebble into a lake, you get this ripple effect all the way to the shore? But that was one pebble. But it reached every shore. We can reach, as one person, reach that shore. And along the way, we can pick up others to take them along with us. So now this is an opportunity because not only did this phrase come out of Proverbs, it also came from St. Francis of Assisi. Some of you may have heard of him. I would like for you, for those of you who can see it, to please read it aloud with me. Lord, where there is hatred, where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is joy. O divine Master, as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. To eternal life. So think about that. Internalize that. So seeking first to understand before being understood. So with that in mind, I'm going to share with you kind of my personal journey. I am the third child of 10. That's why I only have 2. My mom and dad were very religious folks and, fruitful and multiply, right? So they believed in that. But I was the first girl, so I had 2 older brothers, and girls' work grew up in Mississippi, so girls' work was in the house, boys' work outside the house. So I raised all my other brothers and sisters under me. So I learned how to organize. I learned how to discipline with kindness. I learned how to negotiate. I learned how to do a lot of things before I even started school. Both of our parents, neither of them made it farther than elementary school because by that time it was time for them to go to work and help support the families. So whether it was on the farm or wherever it was. But I learned a lot from them. My mom was a domestic worker. She worked for a school teacher. The school teacher also played piano. My mother thought, if they can have it, my children can have it. And so she believed in education. Her goal for us was to graduate from high school. I went a little bit further than that. And so that one of my brothers, who's an attorney, and so that one of my other sisters, who's also a nurse, and so that one of my brothers, who actually is a 30-year retired from the Army, I don't count that against him since he didn't go to Air Force, but so all of that, through all of that, and then my time in the Air Force was fabulous. I enjoyed what I did. I learned a lot, did a lot with leadership, and then I found my husband in the Air Force. We got married, moved to Atlanta, moved to Marietta, Georgia, started our family. I started at Emory, and I have just excelled ever since because that's who I am. It's in my DNA, to grow, to mentor, to inspire, and that's what I try to do. You can see our little family there at Christmas, minus Isaiah at the time, but the girls were very small, and you can see who Santa is. That's Rodney, actually, Junior. And one of the girls said, I know who that is, that's Poppy. And I said, no, that's not Poppy. She said, yes, it is, because Santa's not brown. I said, the Santas in Georgia are brown. She said, okay. That was you. Next slide. So when we talk about global understanding and peace, it starts with us. It starts with where our talents are, and it starts with what we can do with those talents. And so about 9 years ago, I started working with some people in China at some of their cancer hospitals because they have, the World Health Organization, the world cancer rate is higher, of course, than we have here in the United States, although that is high as well. And in every opportunity, one of the things I want to charge you guys with in the Rotary is perhaps have a health screening, a health fair here one day when you have your meetings. And check everybody out. Make sure your blood pressure is good. Make sure your cholesterol is good. And then do those annual physicals, your breast exams, your prostate exams, your colorectal checks. Okay? So think about that. That was my nursing commercial for cancer prevention, screening, and early detection. So as I traveled to China, that was when I was actually president of the National Oncology Nursing Society of 37,000 members. I was the 39th president and the first African-American female to be elected to that position. Thank you. And so part of my travels around the world, I was ambassador for the Oncology Nursing Society. So one of the colleagues of China called me and asked if I would come and speak at their first Asian Oncology Nursing Society conference. And I did. So one of the things that I've learned in my global travels is a smile goes a long way. It goes a long way to show people that they can embrace you, that you're okay, that it's warm, okay? So when I look out in this audience and I see you guys smiling at me instead of, it makes me feel good because I know you're connecting, okay? So keep smiling, keep smiling. As you can see, one of the little items, there's a lot of food to be served when I'm in the countries. And one of the items that you may be able to recognize, it's not fried chicken. It's actually fried cicadas. And they were like, but it's a delicacy. I go, okay, thank you. But no, thank you. And they said, so the next word was, but they're fried. I thought, okay. They're fried and they're bugs. No, thank you. Regardless of what you may have heard about African Americans, we don't eat everything that's fried. I had another opportunity to go to Makati Med in Manila twice to teach the nurses there, the young nurses, about caring for cancer patients. Symptom management, how do you control the nausea and vomiting that they go through when they're either going through radiation therapy or going through chemotherapy? How do you manage the wound care? How do you talk to them about death and dying? So it was quite an experience, and that was my first opportunity to have rice in a bamboo shoot that was cooked. It was quite tasty. Not the bamboo shoot, the rice. But everywhere I go, I do get a warm welcome. I'm invited to come back and come back and come back. I had the opportunity to go to Oman, which, when I look on the map, I'm going, oh, wow, it's really close to Yemen, and it's close to Saudi. And Rodney was in Saudi Arabia when he was in the Air Force, did a tour there. But the UAE, it's part of the UAE, and they were very gracious and very welcoming. So a lot of the myths and things that you hear about people, you have to learn for yourself. Don't believe in all the stereotypes that you hear until you get to know them for yourself. And so building relationships is what I do and what I love and what I enjoy. And I'm embraced for it by the people who I work with. And so it was very interesting here that many times the guys, one of the things, we didn't have to wear the hijab unless you were in the actual temple. So we didn't go there unless you were in the mosque. But I went to the mosque, we all did. We just had a hijab on. And it was very ornate, very beautiful. The people are gracious, they were friendly. They were very supportive, and they were there eager to learn, again, about cancer research so that they can also reduce the cancer burden in their own country. Next. Yeah. So in China, I've really had the opportunity. I usually fly into Beijing, but I've had the opportunity to go everywhere within the country. And so these are just some of the places that I went. Great Wall, Went to Shein to see those terracotta warriors. And, you know, one of the things that I found out, usually I always want to know, how big is your hospital? Because most of our hospitals in the United States are barely over 1,000 beds. Their minimum hospital is about 2,500 beds. The largest hospital I went in was 10,000 beds. I was like, holy moly. How do you even manage a 10,000 bed hospital? Well, it's on acres and acres of land. And when we went into the entrance of the building, they had these little 6-seat golf carts to take people from one elevator bank to the next. It was that big. So, but the nurses there are really caring. They want to make sure that they do the best for their patients. One of the things that I'm still trying to get my head around, and we're getting a little headway with this, is that they don't tell the patients that they have cancer. So it's the culture. And so our driver, one time, his father passed away from colon cancer in between one of my visits. So I talked with him a little bit about it, and I said, you know, why would you not want to tell your family member about your cancer diagnosis? And he said, oh, no, we can't tell them, because then they'll just get depressed and they'll just die. And so, you know, one of the things that I've learned, too, is don't upset a thing unless you know how to rearrange it, okay? So one of the things that I am working with them, some of the nurses really wanted to start to find out how they could have that conversation with the patient and let them know that this IV that's going into your vein and now your hair is falling out, it has nothing to do with what you did. It has everything to do with what we gave you. So I'm still not 100% convinced that the patients do not know that they have cancer. I think it's a mutual protection. The family doesn't want to tell the patient because they think they'll be depressed about it. The patient doesn't want to tell the family because they think they'll be depressed about it. So everybody's depressed. And nobody is getting the real true healing that they could if they understood what was going on. Next one. So we don't only do things globally, we do things locally. When I was chief nursing officer at one of our Atlanta Emory hospitals, we have a NICU, or neonatal intensive care unit, where we take care of preemies, babies who were born before gestational age. So 30 weeks and less, or 34 weeks and less. We even took care of babies who were at 23 weeks gestation. So you can imagine, I mean, they're just about, you can hold them in one hand and they would still not fill up your hand. And they thrived and they survived. And so we would have preemie parties every year, welcoming all of our babies back, or now they're not babies, they're adults, and some of them were still babies, to come back and celebrate life. So that's one of the things that we did. Another thing that I did was working with the Susan G. Komen Foundation, received a $90,000 grant to do health education on breast cancer and do breast cancer screening, not diagnosis, screening. And so I partnered with a physician in the community, partnered with the patients, looking at African American and Latino women who we could bring in to our center, and we actually did it at our church. That's my daughter in one of those pictures up there with me. And so we brought the mobile mammography unit that was also part of Emory to the site and actually brought it into the community instead of having them have to go there to do this. So that was very successful, and we actually diagnosed several breast cancers with women who came in and did not know that they had breast cancer. But early detection saves lives. What did I say? Okay, so I want you guys to remember that. So don't be afraid of the cancer, because if you have it, you have it. But we can take care of it if it's diagnosed early enough. Next. I had the opportunity to travel to Ghana. Elamina Castle in Ghana is actually one of the last slave ports that is still up and being maintained. And it was quite a harrowing experience to walk that path where some of maybe my ancestors had walked. What we did there was worked with the nurses in the clinics. They work 7 days a week, and they do wound care in the cancer clinic. And one of the things with the wound care, and I told Rodney, I said, you know, if this was a medical audience over dinner, I could show everything. But I said, I'm not quite sure, we might lose some people if I start showing some of those graphic slides. So some of the wounds that the people had to bring their own dressings to the clinic. It's not like when we go to the clinic and we have a wound, hospital or the clinic supplies it all for us. The other thing that I found very disturbing is that if you had a cancer that was surgically removed, a lump in your breast perhaps, or something like that, and you had to go back and get follow-up treatment, the patients actually they were given their sample in a bottle with formaldehyde, and they were asked to take it to a pathologist to read it. But they said, because they don't do it all in one-stop shop, and they give it to the patient to be responsible for taking it somewhere. But in the heads of the patient, it was, well, if this is the cancer, what were they thinking? It's gone. I don't have it anymore. So I don't need to go back. I've already had the surgery. And the other thing, and some of you TV guys in here would appreciate this, they have a lot of shamans, and they can actually advertise on television the work that they do in terms of what they said was, we can cure everything, including your cancer. And people were paying good money that they didn't have to go get this care from this shaman. He said, we've never lost a patient. Nobody's ever died in our care. That was semi-true. You know why? They would put that patient in a cab and send them to the hospital when they were ready to die. When their cancer had gone so far that they knew they were getting ready to die, they wouldn't tell the patient that, but they would put them in a cab and send them to the hospital. Okay? So, don't do that. But they didn't, they were true to their word, right? Nobody ever died in their care. They just taxied them away to the hospital. But the nurses were very committed. We worked with them on some of the wound care issues. They had pails in the back room where they were washing out rags and reusing them and drying them. And I just kept thinking, oh my God, how blessed we are in healthcare with all the things that we have to care for our patients in a sterile and clean environment that we sometimes take advantage of or take for granted. So next, we traveled to India, Delhi, Jaipur, and Agra. So I had a chance to go to all of those places, had a chance to actually see the home where Mahatma Gandhi lived. And remember his saying, let me be the change that I want to see in the world. So when we talk about global outreach, when we talk about peace, when we talk about communication and understanding, it needs to begin with us. Next. He also said, my life is my message. So let the work that I do speak for me. And I always told my kids that. You don't have to walk around flashing who you are. People will know who you are, one way or the other, by the work that you do, and let it speak for you. Had a little fun in Jaipur and in India, where they had the Bollywood actors. So you can see I'm standing there with some of those Bollywood guys, not Hollywood, Bollywood actors. They also had the little snake charmers, stayed away from those. But I did take an opportunity to ride the elephant with one of my colleagues who went with me on that trip. And that was quite interesting. The elephant you could either stand and he could wrap his trunk around you and hoist you on the back, or you could climb up this little platform and get in the basket. What you think? I got in the basket. So, no. So some other travels took me to Amsterdam, Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Czechoslovakia, and the Republic, France, Germany, New Zealand, Norway, Thailand, Turkey, Sweden, United Kingdom. All in the interest of global cancer care, trying to make a difference and the outcomes of cancer around the world. Relationships focus on our connections with each other, our networking together, and making a difference in the world that we want to see. So here's another engagement opportunity for you. For those of you who can read it, many times we don't do things because we're afraid. We've put that fear, doubt in our mind. Remember those innocent babies I showed you earlier? They don't know about the fear. They don't know that. So I want you to read this with me, for those of you who can see it, and read it all the way through, okay? Our greatest fear, but that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, handsome, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. We're born to make manifest the glory of God within us. It is not just in some, it is in everyone. We unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Very powerful. Marianne Williamson gave me the permission to share that poem with you. Empower and inspire. Lead with purpose and passion. I don't know how many of you know or heard of Reverend T.D. Jakes. One of the things that he said was, follow your purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, find your passion, and it will lead you to your purpose. Unleash and shift your brilliance. Create accelerated results. Get uncomfortable with being comfortable. Innovate, collaborate, build relationships. World peace and understanding is in each of our hands. No boundaries, no walls, no glass ceilings. Only limited by the shackles that we place on our own imagination. Unleash your brilliance. Conquer your fear. Walk in authority. Believe that you can and you will. Build your trusted network. You guys are already really good at that. See it, believe it, and achieve it. Pearls for today's leaders. Let's read that one together too. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. Watch your habits. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny. Click it again, please.
Miss Ellie Red Cloud, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Mary. Come back up, Mom. I have something for you. Can you hand me that certificate there? Thanks. Service above self, presented to Dr. Mary Gullatte, PhD, RN, NP-C, ... Thank you for sharing your time with the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs. Your service before self has helped us make our world a better place. In your honor, Rotary will continue to support both our local and world communities through donation, service, friendship, and goodwill. Signed, our President, Carrot Adams, and given to you with love from me.